everybody. We're going to do a year-end review on a couple different categories and whatnot, just to see what we liked this year, what we didn't like this year. So this is going to be kind of a tit for tat. This is, of course, opinion-based. For you, what I might not like, you might say this is my favorite. Usually I tend to pull toward what made the biggest impact toward the game itself versus an individual, roster. So let's start with, we're on Portal, and we're going to look at the skill plates. If you didn't know, on the Portal itself, let's say we go to our home screen, you have the three tabs to the left. If you click those in that drop down, you will see skill plates. It's a nice little source. And we are going to go back. Barber's Blades. Dirty Dom Plate. Okay. So the Rumbles are what started off the year. Huge impact for the game. At the beginning of the year, it was one of those where it's like, well, only the red Rumble, well, the yellow Rumble will have uses. The green Rumble. There have been some great new additions to the game that really utilize every one of these Rumbles. They're all valuable to have on your roster. Even Purple has become valuable with Muda, and there's a couple other options for Purple. Very valuable plates. I do have a couple of the black, and then I think one of each. And it's one of those that the more the merrier with these. These are really, they're really good to have. Bouncing on to the next plate, the Radical plate is fine. It kind of finished off the end of the 50% for using a move of the same color for the same gem. This was directed towards Seth. It's not a game changer. It definitely was stronger when it came out than it currently is now that we're entering a meta with, needing to hit over 150 million for some people. For ladies, men comfortable at 100, outside of Showdown, of course, where it's 200. But it had its impact. I still have a couple spots that I use it on that I don't need anything bigger than what that does. It's just I'm able to squeeze out 100% on it, so that's what I need for that character. All right, moving on, we had the 8th anniversaries. Now, these were huge because it's the closest thing that we've had outside of the Yeet Drip, right? Because that was at the end of, that was I want to say that was in December. But it's the first time that we had drips, but improved. These are times 8s, and they are quantity of 8. And some, at the beginning of the year, were far more impactful than others. They all have a great spot in the game now outside of blasting off. Again, this one's just not... It doesn't do much for the game. Cody is about the only person, Powerhouse Cody, that benefits a little bit from it over a Titan plate. But the Titan is just, the percentage is just so strong that it just doesn't quite hit the mark. Chemical X, Starcross have all gotten homes since this came out. Even the Death Row one, this one's less used. But there are a couple places like the old Trickster, Macho, Randy Savage. It's going to be better than the Drip Yeet combo. It's the Death Row Yeet combo. Pretty strong on him. It's a good plate for Abby, who's She already does multis, but you're just adding on to it. Uh, Decent place for her, and there's going to be more that come out that can utilize this. Lesser homes, but still usable, still good spots. Total Silence, when it first came out, not a whole lot of uses. Now we've started to see some people like Bliss from Zombie Bliss, and even I want to say Jacqueline can utilize this plate. The botch slapped, another one. You know, botches are typically defensive, but we're starting now at the end of the year to see more and more spots for this come out. I really like it on Seth, the new Seth. There's a couple other homes for it, but we're starting to see these defensive gem styles go offensive because that's where the game has really pushed over toward. The Dirty Deeds plate, probably one of the least impactful of the year. It kind of had one home, and that is on Ron Simmons Hall of Fame. Outside of that, it's just kind of doesn't really have much use. This is kind of one of those places that I think that they were trying something and it just didn't hit the mark that they were expecting. And then we go on to the Punk's Gauntlets. So the Punk's Gauntlets was the second in a series of 500 plates, outside of our Piper plates, right? You know, the Piper plate was the first 500 plate technically. So then we had the Yeet plate come out in December. The Punk's Gauntlets followed it. Plenty of homes for it. Uh, you could put it on Punk itself. I really don't like that build for him because his reversal is what you're using. You know, you're using MP up to use that move set properly, and I don't really care for that on him. He hits harder with his multiply gems, especially if you have gear. If you don't have gear, then yes, this is probably the route that you're going to be taking with the gauntlets. But really made Liv shine again, the old Trickster Liv, for a short time period, right? Because it wasn't long after this that the Women's Evolution came out, and we went from needing to hit 80 million, which is what Liv was hitting, to now 150 million plus. So it was good for a short time on her. It's really good on Nia Jax. There's several homes for this plate that just fantastic addition to the game, even though it doesn't have a eighth anniversary to pair up with. It's very strong in its own right. The Fearless Stare. This was the third, I believe, in the series of this style plate with the submission. I don't like that it's a single color use. On the 100% were two color uses. This is kind of a plate for boss battle or some type of non-competitive mode where you're going to be using submissions. It's okay. Little less exciting whenever it came out. Was kind of surprised that they put Penta this release with Penta just because that was Penta's weakest build, I found. All right, moving onward, we went to the Barber's Blades. These are fine. They were a little low, I felt, but they came out with each color. I was kind of hoping that these would get a bump to even 100% over the 75%. They didn't. They're okay. They're situational. You know, DK Cena is good with the green one, but usually you're going to want, if you're doing traps, you're going to want something like It's a Trap on there over a Barber's Blade. But we had one of each color come out for that. Next was the Eye of Viscera. And it's strong, being that it's a 200% plate. It would have been kind of nice if they would have matched what they did with the Punk's gauntlets as far as being a 500, but it's still really strong on the people that are able to use it. Um, and the reason is because everybody that uses it uses multiply gems. So it's basically adding another times two to your multiply gems. So this is, we're talking Viscera himself, the new powerhouse Seth, and then Acrocina SE. All three cards very strong with this plate. But I do wish that it would have been a 500%er because we're probably not going to see another plate for heal gems, just to be honest. It's been this long since we got one. This is probably going to be it. Moving onward, we came out with the big Botchman plates. This was, to me, a flop. And I think they were trying to tread lightly with these because of the fact that they didn't want to make the same mistake that they did with the Yeet, where all of a sudden you've got some really old people that are good again. But I don't know why they steer away from that because let's be honest, are we really using our Randy Savages with the Yeet still today? No. Most of us know. We've moved on to people that are hitting that 100,000. I'm sorry, 100 million. So it's as the game progresses and all that. The problem with these was the fact that you had to make 30, so it eliminated pretty much all of the old characters. And I don't think they're needed in the game. I think just the one rainbow would have been fine. But even the rainbow has been really cheap to offer because even to still, you've got Powerhouse Seth as another build for him. He's the only person that I look to when I see this plate. There's a couple other uses, a couple other homes, but for the most part, it's usually the lesser build. So I was less excited about these. Does it have a future? Maybe. But again, bots are typically known as defensive. So, and you're having to create 30. That's a lot of botch to have to create. I'm not the biggest fan of this plate. All right. Coming up, we had these were kind of a surprise because they just got added. They weren't really a weekend release or anything like that. These were some new, not turtle plates, where they continued on with the different color scheme. And we got the purple, break purple, get red, break purple, get blue. This is actually Ice Veins is really good on Roman for Titan to try to refill. Doesn't always work right, and that's the downfall with these. But it's pretty good. It's pretty accurate. The rest I don't really find myself using, but for Titan, these have a decent home just to help us refill. All right, moving onward, we have the Ministry of Business plate. Again, it's impactful, but at 100%, it's weak. And the same can be said when it comes to these reinforce. 100% is not enough in today's meta. It's just not. I thought these were at least 200%. Is this a typo? Oh, wait, hang on. Seth. Where's Seth at? He should have that strap. Okay, that's a typo. It's 200%. And is the rainbow 200% as well, or did that go to 300? That's 200 as well. Okay, so 200. Still, I would have liked to seen like the Snowfall. They could have gone back and reworked the rainbow plate of it, and instead of being 200, make it 400 or 500. We've got 500 plates in there. There's only a few that are reinforced that are going to be huge, more than what you had planned for with this, and that's guys like Showboat Vader, who I think are still fairly rare. And you made a ton of money off of Showboat Vader, so let them be huge, with the 500%. I really would like to see this and the Leech one go up. They're just not strong enough. All right, next we got the green Piper plate. This is huge. To me, it's better than the yellow Piper plate, even though they do the exact same thing. And the thing is, I feel like they've been cautious of who they allow that yellow Piper to be good on over the years, because of how Regal was so strong with it from the beginning, that they've just kind of dialed back on it. Whereas this one, oh my God, you put it on Charlotte, good night. She's turn one killing. Ilya can hit over 400 million with this dang thing. B tier, free tier Batista, huge on B tier, free tier Batista, 150 million plus. It's been a fantastic, very strong add to the game, and I think because of that, I think it's time to unleash more characters that utilize the yellow Piper plate. And I would even like to see a rework. I know that they don't rework plates. They did that one time, I think with the Reinforce, where it just wasn't, everybody was disappointed with it, and they bumped it up another 100%. It might have been the Leech plate. But I'd really like to see the blue one. We already have it in game. There's no need for a blue Piper plate, but I'd like to see it receive the same treatment as this, as being a 500. It's a 300%er for the time being. The LA Knight plate. And I'd like to see more homes for that one too. Here we are, I think almost a year or two since the LA Knight plate came out, and there's still like only 2 homes for it. Kyrie and like one other. It's sad, but the green, one of my favorites for the year. All right, Ring Royalty. Ring Royalty is very useful, especially whenever you've got characters, and I'm going to show this because I really like this on Punk over the 500% for the X-Break, and both of them do the same, close to the same amount of damage. Oh wait, Punk, not. So when you have a move like this one, where you're buffing all gym damage, not just a specific color, that is where this plate really shines. When you've got that universal buff. And there's a lot of them in the game. Hogan's one of them. Where this is fantastic on Hogan. So, people haven't been as excited because it doesn't quite hit as hard as a Rumble. However, it's been clutch for Titan as far as refilling. And if you go for those universal ones, gem damages, very, very strong plate. Of course, it's going to also depend on how strong the damage is. We saw Punk's was like 420%. That's going to be a lot stronger than somebody with a 200%, right? All right, moving on. We started this series, which was paused for a long time with the move damage plates. These were completely throwaway for me. I thought that the fact that they only did 100% was just pathetic. And how often do you go to grab a Sheik plate this day and age? It's rare. Move damage has just... It was killed by tier 6 metals, and we're going to get into that in another video. There are a couple people that these things are good on, but it's one of those that it's so niche now that I'm not even interested. If it's on a prize wall, I'm not taking it. I'll take something else over that. I took one of this one off a recent prize wall because that is how much currency I had and I couldn't get a better plate. So to me, these are probably about 3 years too late. They should be 200%ers at this point in the game. Doesn't do enough to move the needle. And that goes for the werewolf plate later on. Doesn't matter the color, 100% on move damage is not enough in the current meta. Alright, on to the transfusion plates. And let's see, we're showing 200 in here. Let's see what they're showing in-game. They are 200. The rainbow one, let's make sure that it doesn't show different. I could have sworn one of these plates, the rainbow was slightly better. You can see how much I love this plate. I don't use it. Alright. It's okay. They've started to make some homes for it. God, when it came out, when the 8th anniversary, somewhere around when this came out, Striker Austin just went to the moon. They reworked him and then did a couple other things, and he's really strong now. But was it needed? Again, a 500 would have been better. They're okay. The individual colors, I think a lot of people just get unlucky and get these in the armory loot versus a rainbow. The rainbow is the only one that's even worth getting because they're all flat rate, so it's okay. Once again, though, it's a healing gem, so it's for defensive style build, so there's still a lot of things to look forward to. Even I will say I got a green transfusion, and I'm going to look at Roxanne to see if there's a build there. The problem is so many people need this plate or need the anniversary plate now that it's without the anniversary, it's just not good. I see that with Kelly. I see that with Roxanne. I see that with Austin. They're okay without the anniversary, but really they need the anniversary to do enough, because the alternatives is like 50% plates and it's just not good enough. So there is that. All right, moving on. The Frankie plate, huge. This I've got 3. I'd like more. And where you put them all? I have one on a modern strap, and so any powerhouse that's modern that could get moved around to, you see I have the blasting off plate there for Cody. Really, really strong on Cody. I've got one on Austin. Right? Everybody's mind went straight to Austin when this came out, and it's huge for Austin. But of course, it came out specifically with the intent to make Koko B. Ware just fantastic, and that it does. Koko with his 2 multis on this is where my 3rd one is living, and you might say that's enough, and I would agree with you. But I would like one for a reality era, and it's one of the Bellas. I think it's Bree. And I don't know how strong this really is going to be. I would use the blasting off plate with this to try to get some multis out there, and hope that they don't hit on your whatever you call it, loot boxes. This is going to be somewhat of a drip build, and it's not going to be huge damage, but hard era, right? You've got her and Charlotte for this era, and both are going to struggle to hit up with the newer girls and the newer healths, but it's still another option for that era. And it's going to be okay. Not huge, but okay. Alright, let's go back into this. The snowfall, the flurries. This is where we saw an uptick in the percentage. We went from 200 to 300%. And then the rainbows being 500. Huge addition to the game. I think we said the Piper was my favorite so far. Let's go back. Let's see. It's hard to compete with the 8th anniversaries because they really made so many things work better. The Green Piper plate, the Parrot plate are my tops. And then the Snowfall plate is going to be kind of, I'm not going to say last of my favorites. There's plenty of good homes for this. I've got one on a Modern Tech and a Modern Acro strap, and that's where I found the most uses for them. Really strong plates, though. Really strong plates. And this really introduced people, along with the Punk's Gauntlets, and the Green Piper, into hitting over 100 million. You know, those plates, the combinations with them, it's just unbelievably hard how hard we can hit now. It's even with these where you've got, you know, you could take somebody that's defensive, like Tiffy, and put that 300% plate on her and just cascade, and it does just enough damage to help her defense win. And you could take a 300%er, put it on Liv. Anybody with multis, so you take a B tier, free tier person and add a 300% plate to their multi, and you're doing huge damage. So many homes for these snowfall plates. It's a great add. All right, next we had the Haku plate. Haku plate was the first countdown plate in a long time that we have gotten. Hard Times was the last one previously, if I remember correctly. And we jumped from... Is it only 200? I could have sworn that one was a 300. No, it's 200. Okay. 200% plate for whenever we count downs to black gems, right? It's fairly niche. There's about I think there's 5 total people that it's works with. But there's 3 that really make this plate huge. It's very strong on Haku. It's very strong on Showboat Michelle McCool. And all we're doing with that move is just increasing. We're throwing those countdowns out just to increase our black gem damage. And then we're using the Pyro setup. Very strong on her. If you've got the gear, you're hitting over 200 million with this Haku plate. It's huge. All right, moving onward, we have the Crossbreak. This is my pick of the year for plate. It has the most homes, and that's why it's the pick. There's so many people that this plate makes good that it's just unfair. More so than the Snowfall plate. And a big reason is because you compare it with an 8th anniversary. It's the first one of this year that you could pair with that 8th anniversary for the Crossbreak. Of the 500%. Let me get that clear because we already showed the transition plate, and the reinforced doesn't have 8th anniversary, but we saw the rainbow for Leech. 500% versus 200% is huge, and this just has the most homes, especially the rainbow one. The 300% still have value, and you can look at these. Each of the colors, besides, there's only like maybe the green and purple. I'm not sure about the green. Purple, I don't know of any that have any homes. But black, yellow, red, and even blue now with Stephanie Vicker all have great homes that they can go on for very strong characters. Yeah, black and red are my two that are my go-to outside of the Rainbow Crossfire. Extremely strong. All right. Next, we have another move damage trap. We already said what we felt about these. Underpowered. 2 years too late. Already need to be reworked. Onward, we have the X-Brake plates. Far less homes for these. But if you haven't seen it yet, I would encourage you to check out my video on Bradshaw. Brad, hello, spelling helps. Does he not go by his name? All right, there we go. With the black one, 150 mil, room for improvement because I've got a 40% strap. Huge plate. Like I said, less homes. So we're looking at Punk himself. Really big for Punk. I really like this setup for him. So we're taking multiplies and giving them a 500% boost with the rainbow. I like the rainbow over that. You could use the green one on him and run triple green, but for the most part, I like just using the 2 moves and the 2 green moves and swiping. So really, really strong on him. And Zombie Punk, it's good on the punks. All right. Zombie Punk himself, right, with this, also can team up with a Chemical X. So there is that. And this was strong with this one, too. You could also pair it with a 8th anniversary plate. You can use it on Hall of Fame McCool. I think there are better ways of playing her. This is the strap I use for her. This is almost 200 million. It's really, really strong. But you can technically run some X breaks. All right. Fewer homes in the cross break, but I am happy to have it in the game. Absolutely. And even fewer homes than the Snowfall, but really impactful. We already saw the Fearless. I'm not sure why that's there again. The Eternal Bliss. So niche, but when it's used, it's really strong. And what do I mean by that? Let's look at Alexa herself. This moveset where, think of this as the Thomas chess plate that we use on Julius Creed. And that's basically what it is. It's a Thomas chess for black gems. Really big with this moveset, especially because we're doing multis. So you're adding a 300% toward these multis. Really good for Ozzy because you're triggering it twice. Really, really strong for him. You've got so many things buffing that this really, you just throw this on there with the 1MP. You're now buffing the gems. It has 600% from the plate if you do this, 150 from the move itself. The gear does 150 toward the trap gems. Good spot for it. Don't see a whole lot of people running that because of this guy. If you don't have it on Alexa, chances are you have it on this guy with not that. Trust me, somebody was asking me to look at the move damage, and I was like, why? I don't want to. All right, so we do this, and then 4MP. So double activation of the plate. You have to make sure you are getting enough traps on the board to get, you need 6 total. So if you run Austin, I like him, hang on, let me show, it's Carmelo. Oh, I don't know why we did the turkey. Oh yeah, for that move damage, look at, Lexus fine, because she does 3. So now we've got too many traps. So let's, Jacob, I think, balances it out. Yep, there we go. So 49 total. The reason that's kind of important is you don't want to override the smaller one, the pointed elbow drop, because these are buffing those black gems as well. But same thing, a double activation of the plate. Yeah. Double activation of the plate for huge damage. You don't need, it's a trap on there. It's going to do way more than you could even dream of with that. So, similar to the Thomas Chest, it has only a few homes. However, the homes that it goes to are very strong, very impactful people. Great ad for the year. Werewolf's Vest, throwaway plate for move damage. Same thing as we said over there. All right. Getting into these, and we have 3 that are all going to fall in the same category. Throw them away. These are so niche that they are made for the person that they go on. It's kind of like the turtle plate that we saw for Powerhouse Ray turtle. We haven't seen that since the turtle event, that one plate. Chances are these plates are going to be the exact same way, and they're so niche that they don't matter. These all can just be thrown away. The Rage plate, they've offered since the event. I kind of think it's shit, but it has to do with the percentage. We're in 6-star gold and hype, because they're ran out of stars or they haven't developed 7-star yet, whatever the case may be. But 50% in this meta is just not cutting it. You could say you could, throw out 2 sets of jugs and hit 100%. Sure, still not cutting it. We are developing 200, 300, and 500% plates. And you come out with a 50, it's... If you want to throw it on somebody, throw it on somebody. It's not going to make a significant difference. All right. Steve Sticks. Huge. Absolutely huge. You name it, you could throw it on them. As long as they're creating 6 multis and breaking 6, you don't even have to technically break the, 6. If you're just worried about getting the buff, right, for Black Gem. Huge add to the game. Love it. I've got 3. A lot of fun with this plate. Even though it's basically a rumble, it's a lot of fun. I really like this one this year. We're going to see one here in a second that I think is just the complete opposite, and it does the same thing. All right. Mark Henry's plate. Useless. It's good on Mark Henry. Without it, he is not usable. And it's so niche that it's just pathetic. This should have been rainbow, not blue move damage. Um, it's useless. You could throw it away. This was a waste of creative talent. Whoever made this, the chain of command, whatever. It's an USO cap. Y'all see how often we use our USO caps. Um, this one has more use today than the USO cap does, but I don't think that's going to last long. Same thing. Silence gems, and you're doing 150 to match the USO cap. That would have been a good time to go ahead and update the USO cap to a 200 to 300%, and then come out with a new USO cap, basically, that does for red and blue at the same damage. Um, it's fine, but not their best work for the year. Never give up. It's Maze Crown. I don't know how else to say it. It was a very expensive Maze Crown. It breaks 10 more gems than the Maze Crown. It's a Maze Crown. The Bombshell. Same concept as the Styx. Only useful in really two characters in the game. You could throw it on Kofi. I understand that. Nobody, if you're doing that, then I don't understand that. Um, you're just trying to find an excuse to make a shitty player that is Kofi Kingston good. Um, I got one because I had enough to grab another Steve Styx and this plate, and I saw AJ, and even though I hadn't seen AJ's release video yet, I could see in the moves that that's what it was going to be centered around, and I wasn't sure if he was going to be good enough without it, so I went ahead and grabbed one. One's all you need. It's a niche plate. Too niche for this stage of the game. Once again, this could have easily been rainbow for leech gems. Personal opinion on that. Same thing with the natural phenomenon. Throw it away. It's good on AJ, and that's going to be about it. You could technically say it's okay on, who's it? Powerhouse, Mankind, Hall of Fame Foley. Okay, not good. It makes him hit right at the bottom tier of where you want a 6-star gold to hit in this meta, and that's 75 million. And I'm pretty sure it's probably not even hitting that much. It's probably inflated by tier 6 from the videos I saw from Zoro. So it's probably not even that much. So really, the month of December has been the worst for plates, because we started with this and going to here. Outside of that, though, very excited about Steve Styx. Very excited for the X breaks. I really like the Eternal Bliss. I'm hoping that that's not just a zombie plate, although from what I'm seeing so far, it seems like that way, that they're only going to be offering it during zombie month. I hate that. It's come out with your niche plates like this shit during those, not important plates for the game like this. Really like the Eternal Bliss. Any of the Rainbow 500 percenters, the Green Piper, the Haku plate's very good. The Frankie the Parrot, very, very good. But I am going to give it to my favorite of the year. I've got to stick with the Crossbreak. It's just the most impactful. And many of the characters that need this don't need the rainbow. They're good enough with the 300%er. They're hitting strong enough with the 300% that you don't even need the rainbow. The rainbow is fantastic. But you put the blue one with the anniversary plate on Stephanie Vicker, and she's hitting hard enough. You put the yellow one on Becky with the same thing with the anniversary plate, she's hitting hard enough. My favorite of the year, hands down, goes to the Crossfire plates. Just great adds to the game. And look, overall for the year, a lot of really, really strong plates. We had 2 series of bad plates, and that's going to fall under these that, once again, they were so niche. The and hopefully that's the last time we see them. And then for whatever reason, the December plates, they just flopped for the month of December. But that's it for the year in review for plates. I'm not sure when, but we're going to come back and do... we'll probably take a look at some moments on the next video. And that should be coming out within a day or two. Got to catch up on some work before New Year's, but then after that, we'll take a look at moments. Y'all have a good one.